I was never the kind of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room, and that always felt comfortable to me, being seen as normal, being chosen without effort, being loved without having to prove anything. When Lucas met me, it was exactly like that. We found each other in a calm phase of life. No drama, no urgency, long conversations, easy laughter, lazy Sundays. He said he liked my calm, that I was safe, that with me, he could breathe. I believed him. We got married without spectacle. Just a quiet agreement to walk side by side. And for a while, the gestures were there. He held my hand in public, looked at me when I spoke, made plans that naturally included me. Until one day, something small changed. It was in the bathroom mirror, a pale mark, almost imperceptible on my wrist. I thought it was the reflection of the light. I rubbed it, washed it, ignored it. It didn't hurt. It didn't itch. It didn't bother me. A few weeks later, another one, now on my forearm. Then an irregular shadow near my collarbone. Nothing dramatic, nothing anyone would notice at first glance. But I noticed. I showed Lucas the way someone mentioned something trivial. I think my skin looks strange. He glanced at it quickly, without much interest. It's probably an allergy, and went back to his phone. I scheduled a doctor's appointment, did tests. When the doctor said the word, I didn't feel fear. I felt confusion, vitiligo, he explained carefully. It didn't hurt. It wasn't contagious. There was no serious risk. It was unpredictable. It could progress or stabilize. The sentence that stayed with me was, "There's no way to predict." I went home with the paper folded in my purse. I made coffee. I cleaned the kitchen. I waited for Lucas to arrive. I told him calmly. He stayed silent for a few seconds. He didn't hug me. He didn't ask if I was okay. He just said, "But is it going to spread?" I said maybe. He nodded slowly, as if calculating a cost. From that day on, something changed. Not immediately, not cruelly, gradually. He started avoiding touching me when I wasn't wearing long sleeves. His body pulled back half a second before a hug. Kisses became shorter. His gaze looked away faster. I noticed everything, but I said nothing. I began choosing clothes that covered more, not because he asked, but because his silence did. The marks kept appearing, on my arm, on my shoulder. Small, pale islands on a map I no longer recognized. Each new mark came with a look from him that lingered a little longer. Not out of curiosity, but discomfort. He started coming home later, talking less, checking his phone more often during dinner, until one day, without a fight, without a scene, he said, "I think you should look for someone to help you deal with this." I asked if he meant a doctor. He looked away. "No, someone to talk to." That's when I understood, and still, I said nothing. Not long after, the signs became too obvious to ignore. Lucas started working late 3 times a week, always the same days, always the same vague excuse about urgent projects. The man who never cared much about appearance started dressing more carefully. New cologne, ironed shirts, hair styled with gel, and the phone. The phone. Before, he left it anywhere. Now it never left his hand, always face down, always on silent. I'm not stupid, but I'm also not a detective. I didn't snoop. I didn't follow him. I didn't install tracking apps. I just observed. One night he came home with that energy of someone who had just lived something exciting. He smiled to himself. He felt light. He even kissed my forehead before going to the shower. When he came out, his phone buzzed on the living room table. It was unlocked. The message was there on the screen, without me touching anything. "Tonight was amazing. I already miss you." The name was Mariana. I took a deep breath, read it again, left the phone exactly where it was. I went to the bedroom, lay down, closed my eyes. Lucas came in minutes later, checked his phone quickly and lay beside me as if nothing had happened. "Good night," he said. "Good night," I replied. In the days that followed, I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I didn't make a scene. I just started paying attention. Mariana was a co-worker. I found out through Instagram. She didn't hide it. Photos with the team. Lucas, always nearby. wide smiles, captions full of inside jokes. She was everything I wasn't at that moment. Even-toned skin, loud confidence, clothes that demanded attention. The kind of woman who didn't carry any complications. They went out discreetly, but not discreet enough. Restaurants in distant neighborhoods, always at night, always by car, I knew, and I chose not to say anything yet, because strangely enough, that knowledge freed me from something. Illusion. I didn't need to try anymore. I didn't need to adapt anymore. I didn't need to believe I was doing something wrong. The marks kept spreading, now near my neck, visible, impossible to fully hide, and Lucas stopped pretending to care. One night after another silent dinner, he said, "I think we need to talk." I looked at him calmly. "About what?" He hesitated, looked away. "About us. About how things have changed." "Things," I repeated. "Or me?" He didn't answer, so I asked, "Is there someone else?" Silence. "Lucas, is there?" He took a deep breath. "I didn't want it to be like this." It wasn't an apology. It was a justification. "Who is she?" I asked, my voice neutral. "Does it matter?" "It matters to me." He stared at his empty glass. "Mariana, from work." I nodded slowly. "How long?" "A few months." "Since the marks?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. I stood up. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just said, "You can go." He blinked, surprised. "What do you mean?" "You can go. To her, anywhere you want, but you don't stay here." "Are you kicking me out?" "I'm setting you free," I replied. "You already left. You just forgot to walk out." He tried to argue, said it wasn't like that things were complicated, that he hadn't planned it. I repeated firmer, "You can go, Lucas." And he did. Not that night, but the following week. He took his clothes, some belongings, left the rest. He left my house. He left my life. And for the first time in months, I took a deep breath. In the days that followed, nothing happened, and that was the strangest part. No desperate phone calls, no dramatic scene, no emotional apology. Lucas simply left, and I simply stayed. The house remained the same, the furniture in the same place, the cups in the cabinet. Only his absence filled the space in a quiet, heavy way. I woke up early on the first day alone, made coffee for one person, sat on the balcony, watched the street with that strange feeling of freedom and emptiness at the same time. I didn't post anything on social media. I didn't send long messages to friends. I didn't write public heartbreak paragraphs. I said nothing. People expect pain to be loud, to announce itself, to beg for witnesses, but mine stayed quiet, taking up an inner space no one could see. For a few days, I pretended normalcy. I replied to messages. I went to the grocery store. I cleaned the house. I cooked. But something in me had shifted. For the first time since the diagnosis, I stopped hiding the marks. I wore a sleeveless top to the pharmacy. No one commented. No one stared like I was strange. The world kept turning, perfectly normally. And I realized something important. The discomfort was never the world's. It was his. Meanwhile, Lucas seemed fine. I heard through other people. You always do. He had made his relationship with Mariana public. They posted photos together. They went out openly. They started showing up at the same places we used to go. She laughed loudly in the pictures, wore flashy outfits, had that perfect aesthetic that calms insecure men. He looked relieved, and that told me everything. A mutual friend, Clara, called me a few weeks later. "Did you see he's with Mariana publicly?" I did. "And are you okay?" "I am." Silence on the other end. "Seriously, you're not, I don't know, angry?" I thought before answering. "Angry about what, Clara? That he left, or that I didn't see sooner he was never really present?" She didn't have an answer. The truth was, I was okay. Not in the way people imagine, not the instant euphoria of, "I'm over it," but okay in a quiet way, without needing to prove anything. I started doing things I had postponed. Long walks, reading without rushing. I began going to a small cafe near my house, always at the same time. That's where something unexpected happened. I was wearing a tank top, The marks on my arm were visible. I didn't overthink it. I just left the house. A woman, a few years older than me, watched me while I waited for my order. It wasn't an invasive stare. It was curious, almost thoughtful. When our eyes met, she smiled. "Can I ask you something?" she said politely. I nodded. "Have you ever thought about not hiding?" The question caught me off guard. "What do you mean?" "Your marks. You have vitiligo, right?" "I do." She stepped a little closer and pulled a card from her bag. "I'm an image producer. I work with brands that look for real faces, real stories." I looked at the card, then at her. "I don't understand." She smiled again. "You have something rare, presence, and a story written on your body. That's worth a lot today." I didn't know what to say. She placed the card on the table. "Think about it. If you want to talk, call me." And she walked away. I sat there staring at that card for a long time. I didn't call that day, or the next, but I kept it. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something new, curiosity about myself. Meanwhile, Lucas kept living his light life, but the universe has a peculiar sense of humor, and he was about to find out. It took me 2 weeks to call. It wasn't planned. It was impulse. A morning when I woke up feeling different. Not better, just different. The producer, Helena, answered on the second ring. "I knew you'd call," she said, with the tone of someone who wins bets with herself. We met at a cafe, an informal conversation, no pressure. Helena didn't ask for a portfolio. She didn't ask about experience. She just wanted to know who I was. I told her about the vitiligo, about how it appeared, about how it changed the way I saw myself, and how others saw me. I didn't mention Lucas. I didn't mention the betrayal, but I think she heard what I wasn't saying. "Do you realize you're rare?" she asked, leaning forward. "Not because of the condition, because of the way you carry it." "I'm not carrying anything," I said. "I'm just here." "Exactly," she smiled. "That's it. You don't apologize, you don't explain, you're just here." Helena worked with diversity campaigns and real representation. Brands that wanted authentic faces, not people edited into something unreal. "I'll be honest," she said. "You won't make crazy money at first. But if you have patience, this can become something big." I didn't have expectations. Truthfully, I didn't have anything to lose. "Let's try," I said. The first shoot felt strange. A simple studio, natural light, no overproduction. The photographer, Julia, looked at me and said, "I'm not going to ask you to smile. I'm not going to ask you to look happy. I just want you to feel comfortable." So I did. Relaxed shoulders, direct gaze, no rehearsed pose. When I saw the photos, something clicked. They weren't pretty in the traditional sense. They were honest. The marks were there, no edits, no filters. And strangely, they weren't the focus. They were part of the composition. "You have something that can't be taught," Julia said. "Real presence." The photos started circulating in small circles. Nothing viral, just present. Helena included me in a few presentations. Quiet meetings with brands, cosmetics, clothing, wellness. I went in with no expectations. I listened. I answered honestly. And slowly, doors began to open. Meanwhile, Lucas kept living his life, or trying to. He and Mariana were living together now, posting happy photos, dinners, weekend trips, that perfect couple aesthetic that fills Instagram feeds. But something had started to crack. Mariana was intense. She demanded constant attention. She wanted to be praised all the time. She asked for emotional presence Lucas simply didn't know how to give. The man who left looking for something lighter discovered something simple. Lightness doesn't come from another person. It comes from within, and he didn't have it. Clara told me again, half like gossip, "Lucas isn't doing well." "Oh yeah? Mariana is complicated, demanding. He's kind of lost." I felt nothing. Not pity, not satisfaction. "Everyone makes their choices," I said, uninterested. "You don't have even a little, I don't know, schadenfreude?" I laughed. "No, Clara. I just want to live my life." And I was. My first official job came 3 months after the separation. a small campaign for a casual clothing brand. The concept was beauty without editing. My face, my arms with the marks, simple clothes, no heavy makeup, no attempt to hide. The caption said, "Real stories, real bodies, real people." The campaign had unexpected impact. It didn't go viral, but it moved. People tagged friends, commented about representation, about feeling seen. Messages started coming in. Women with vitiligo saying they had never felt represented. People with scars, birthmarks, visible differences thanking me for not editing. I read everything carefully. I didn't reply with canned phrases. I just thanked them when it felt right. And little by little, something started happening. My name showed up in more meetings, more proposals, more invitations. Nothing massive, but steady. Helena smiled every time we met. "I told you," she said. "You have something." "I'm just being myself," I replied. "Exactly," she said. "That's the rarest thing." Meanwhile, Lucas started hearing my name. At first, vaguely. "I think I saw something with your ex." Then more often. "That campaign, that's her, right?" He pretended not to care, but he started searching. He opened my Instagram, saw the new photos, saw the comments, saw that my life kept moving, and it was moving well. And for the first time since he left, something inside him started to shift. It wasn't regret, it was confusion. 6 months after the separation, my life had changed in a subtle but profound way. I didn't become a celebrity. I didn't make millions. But I had steady work, respect, space. Helena was right. I had something rare, and the market was starting to notice. I took part in a bigger campaign, a well-known cosmetics brand launching a no-retouch line. They wanted diverse, real faces with real stories. I was chosen. The shoot was different, a larger team, more production, but the concept remained the same. No heavy editing. When the photos were released, the response was immediate, not just likes. Real engagement, people sharing, commenting, tagging others. My Instagram, which had 800 followers, jumped to 5,000 in a week, then 10,000, then 20,000. Messages multiplied, some emotional, some curious, some simply saying, "Thank you for existing." I read them whenever I could. One message stayed with me. "I've had vitiligo since I was 15. I'm 32 now, and I've always hidden it. Seeing you made me cry. Thank you for showing me I can exist without shame." I replied, "You always could. You just needed permission, and it was always yours." Meanwhile, Lucas watched from a distance. He didn't follow me on Instagram, but he had a fake account. I found out much later when a friend mentioned he had liked by accident a photo where I appeared in the background. He was seeing everything, and he couldn't process it. The woman he left, the woman with the marks, the complicated woman, was blooming, not despite him leaving, but after he did. Mariana noticed the change in him before anyone else. "Do you still think about her?" she asked one night after catching him checking his phone for the 10th time. "No," he lied. "Then why do you search her name all the time?" He froze. "I don't. Lucas, I saw it." He exhaled deeply. "It's just curiosity. She's doing some campaigns. It's weird." "Weird how?" Mariana crossed her arms. "Because she's doing well." Silence. "Did you want her to be miserable?" she pressed. Of course not." "Then what's the problem?" He didn't know how to answer. Because that was the problem. She was well, better than he expected, better than he was. Around that time, I was traveling for work for the first time. São Paulo, a meeting with a major agency. They wanted to discuss a longer contract. I arrived early, dressed simply, but intentionally. Nothing excessive, just present. The meeting was direct. They liked my authentic profile. They wanted me in quarterly campaigns. "You have a presence that doesn't ask for approval," the creative director said. "That's rare." I signed the contract. When I got home, I sat on the balcony with a cup of coffee and looked at the city. I didn't feel euphoria. I felt alignment, as if every piece was finally in the right place. That night, Lucas sent me his first message in months. "I saw you're doing well. I'm happy for you." I looked at the message for a few seconds. I felt no anger, no longing, nothing. I deleted it without replying. 2 days later, another message. You're not going to answer. This time, I blocked the number. Not out of bitterness, out of coherence. That conversation no longer belonged to me. My next job was the biggest so far. A conceptual fashion magazine, a 6-page editorial, theme, bodies that tell stories. I was photographed alongside other women, one with a mastectomy, one with a leg prosthesis, one with albinism. None of us were there as inspiration. We were there as presence. When the issue came out, it became a reference, shared by portals, blogs, social media. I appeared on a small but respected online interview show. I talked about vitiligo, about acceptance, about how beauty doesn't need permission. I didn't mention Lucas. I didn't mention abandonment. But people read between the lines. Comments began to appear. This woman has an unshakable energy. She doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Whoever let her go must be regretting it now. Lucas saw them all, every single one. And for the first time, he felt something he couldn't name. It wasn't regret. It was irrelevance. The invitation came unexpectedly, an inclusive fashion and beauty event, not huge but with respected names in the industry. Helena told me, there will be important people there. It's worth showing up. I didn't know Lucas would be there. He had been invited by Mariana, who worked in digital marketing for one of the sponsoring brands. She probably wanted to show she was in cool circles. I arrived calm, a simple black dress, elegant, arms exposed, marks visible, hair tied back. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was just present. Helena warned me discreetly, "Your ex is here. Do you want to leave?" I looked over. Lucas stood beside Mariana, who wore a flashy dress and laughed too loudly. "No need," I said. "I'm fine." And I was. No nerves, no anger, just functional indifference. I kept talking to other people, photographers, producers, models. The event flowed naturally, until inevitably our paths crossed. Lucas saw me first, stopped mid-sentence. Mariana noticed, followed his gaze, and her smile faltered slightly. He came over alone. "Hi," he said with the rehearsed voice of someone who had imagined the moment. "Hi," I replied, neutral. A brief silence, uncomfortable for him, neutral for me. "You look different," he said, searching for words. "No," I said. "I'm the same. You just weren't paying attention before." He swallowed hard. "I saw your work. It's incredible. Thank you." Silence again. "I wanted to say that," he started. "You don't need to," I interrupted gently but firmly. "Really, you don't. I didn't know how to deal with it, with everything, with the changes. Lucas," I looked at him calmly, "you did what you could at that time. It just wasn't enough to stay, and that's okay." He looked confused. "It is? It is. I'm fine. You're with who you chose. There's nothing left to say. But I thought about you a lot." "I know," I said. "People always think later." He tried to continue, but Mariana approached with that tense smile of someone marking territory. "Hi," she said, her voice sharp. "You're Lucas's ex, right? I've seen your photos. Very brave." The sweetness hid the barb. I smiled back, polite. "Thank you. It's just honesty." She grabbed Lucas's arm, possessive. "We're really happy, right, babe?" Lucas didn't answer immediately. He just nodded without enthusiasm. "We're going to talk to some friends," Mariana said, pulling him away. "Nice seeing you." They walked off. I looked back once. Lucas looked too. Our eyes met, and in that moment he understood something I already knew. There was no going back. The rest of the night was calm. I talked, I smiled, I made connections. Some people recognized me from campaigns. Others were just drawn to my presence. I left early, no dramatic goodbyes. On the way home, my phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. "We need to talk, please." It was Lucas. He must have gotten my number from someone. I looked at the message, thought for a second. I blocked the number. No reply, no explanation. Some doors don't need to be reopened. 2 weeks later, Lucas tried again. This time, a long email. He talked about growth, about regret, about how life teaches. I read it to the end. I didn't reply, not out of anger, but because that conversation no longer belonged to me. I didn't need his closure. I already had mine. My life continued. New jobs, travel, invitations, recognition. It wasn't fame. It was respect, and that mattered far more. While my life kept expanding, Lucas's began to shrink. There was no scandal, no public humiliation, no headlines. There was something much crueler for someone like him: emptiness. Mariana, who initially seemed energetic and exciting, began to show a pattern that was hard to sustain. Everything had to be displayed, every outing documented, every compliment public, every absence questioned. She controlled schedules, checked messages, demanded constant reassurance that she was desired, chosen, admired. Lucas, who had always avoided emotional depth, found himself suffocated. The lightness he thought he had found didn't exist. It never did. What existed was novelty, and novelty fades. Arguments started small, sharp comments, heavy silences. Then came open demands. "Do you still think about her?" Mariana asked one night bluntly. "I don't," he answered too quickly. "Then why do you change every time someone mentions her name?" He had no answer, because it wasn't longing, it wasn't love, it was worse: comparison. He compared the calm he had with me to the constant chaos he lived now. The quiet respect I gave him to the constant surveillance he received. The woman he abandoned out of fear to the woman he chose out of vanity. And he always lost. At work, things unraveled too. His focus slipped. His performance dropped. He arrived late. Missed details he never used to miss. An important project was delivered incomplete. Another was reassigned. Little by little, he stopped being a reference. No one said anything, but everyone noticed. That feeling of, "I should be somewhere else," followed him everywhere. Lucas started asking about me indirectly, through mutual friends, pretending casual interest, pretending indifference. "Is she okay?" he'd ask, like asking about the weather. And the answer was always the same: "She's great, really great." It ate at him, because he needed me to be broken. He needed my pain to justify his choice. But I wasn't. Mariana felt it too, the invisible shadow she couldn't compete with. "You never look at me the way you looked at her," she accused one day. "That's not true," he said, exhausted. But it was, not because I was better, but because I was whole. And he only realized that after losing me. The relationship finally collapsed when Mariana demanded something he couldn't give: real presence. "I don't want someone who's only here physically," she said. "I want someone whole." Lucas wasn't whole, not even with himself. They ended it on an ordinary afternoon. No screaming, no cinematic tears, just exhaustion. When she left the apartment, he sat on the couch for hours, staring at nothing. It was in that silence that everything finally fell into place. He lost the marriage, lost the stability, lost the comfortable story that he had made the right choice. And perhaps, worst of all, he lost access to me. There was no door left to knock on, no message left to send, no space left for late explanations. I was no longer available, not even as a memory. And while that world collapsed quietly, I kept going. 1 year after the separation, my life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I worked steadily, traveled when needed, returned home with a sense of belonging I had never had before. The marks were still there, some larger, some softer. I didn't fight them. I no longer tried to control what didn't need fixing. They were part of my map. I started speaking at small events about representation, not as aggressive activism, but as calm presence. I didn't become strong because of vitiligo, I'd say. I just stopped shrinking because of it. People listened, some cried. Others simply nodded, like recognizing something old. Invitations came. I declined some, accepted others. I learned to choose without guilt. I no longer needed to please, didn't need to convince, didn't need to be tolerable to belong. One afternoon I met Clara for coffee. "You know Lucas regrets it, right?" she said carefully. I smiled without irony. "I know. And that doesn't affect you?" I thought for a moment. No, because his regret doesn't change my truth. It only confirms I wasn't wrong. Clara watched me in silence. You've changed so much. No, I corrected. I stopped apologizing for existing. That night I got home, took off my shoes, and looked at myself in the mirror. The marks were there. So was my gaze. Steady, present. And I understood something that took time to learn. Not every abandonment is a loss. Some are disguised freedom. Lucas left me when the marks appeared. But what he never knew was that by leaving, he gave me back to myself. And that was the beginning of everything. Sometimes pain doesn't come to destroy us. It comes to reveal us. Not every departure is rejection. Some are quiet liberation. And we only understand that when we stop asking permission to exist. If this story spoke to you in any way, leave a comment below. Your voice might help someone who is still silent. Subscribe to Stories We Tell, leave a like, and share this story with someone who needs to remember that you don't need to be chosen by someone else to finally choose yourself. Thank you for being here.